Okay, Hayden, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, your spiritual journey. You know, anything any place where you've been stuck or had a question or wanted to know more about.
Well, I'm 32 years old. I was born and raised in Oklahoma City. I'm half Mexican. My family is from Mexico City and different parts of Mexico. I started my spiritual journey when I was really young. I've always been really connected to the spirit world and to God, and so discernment for me started at a very young age. Always very hypersensitive, so I knew that I was dealing with some sort of gift. Just wasn't really sure how to pinpoint it, and when I went through middle school and high school, everything kind of just became a blur, and it was more of just kind of survival mode. So once I got out of high school and I really started pursuing my future is when things really started aligning for me. Everything in my life has been manifested. It's come to me through the gift of like creating those things because I say they're going to happen, which is really beautiful and really nice to experience. I own my own business. I'm an Herbalife distributor. I've been on these products for about 10 years, and so I have a nutrition club in Oklahoma City. I've been in business for a little over 7 years, and I've really come a long way. I left my 8-year relationship last year in March, and my good friend Carly, who is our shaman here in Oklahoma City, we had been friends for quite some time, and there was always a pull, there was always a connection, but just divine timing never really aligned us until after I left my relationship and was really ready to dig into my journey as this, woman in the spirit world. And so I really just started participating and taking my time. I've been very patient, and of course it is still a continuous journey for myself, but I feel really good. I feel really connected. Everything that's has been aligned for me, and I've cleared out a lot of the things from, my childhood and my relationships, and then here past Sunday, I actually was able to face, those unknowing father wounds that I've been trying to pinpoint, but never really could until this Sunday, which was so cool. I made a commitment to myself after I left my relationship that I wouldn't pursue a relationship until I turned 33, which is in August. And making that commitment to myself, there have been parts of myself that get distracted. Yes. And God's done a really great way of redirecting myself. So ironically, Sunday I had a breakfast date that I had committed to, and I forgot that it was Father's Day. And so instead of going on this breakfast date with this new potential person, I went to see my dad, and it just opened the doors. It opened my eyes. It was like, that God slap, that download, that, brings everything into awareness. And so this week was actually kind of heavy for me, just emotionally, just really trying to tend to that little girl that was, put my dad up on a pedestal and kind of was afraid to hurt his feelings or make him mad, and recognizing that, like, I see him now as the person that he is and not the person that I always expected him to be, which is really nice, because that was like God's way of saying, you're not ready to date. These are the things that you need to focus on before you move into a relationship and in a world of men.
Okay, so. Can I suggest a tool that you can add to your repertoire? Specifically on issues like this. If you don't already know this, then you might, but when we connect with somebody on a personality level, where, you've given me your story of this lifetime, and and how you've been adjusting to it, and you have a beautiful foundation of a spiritual life already. And the question that I have is what next? In other words, if you were in one of your spiritual epiphanies where you experienced your divine nature, and you were separated from the collective insanity of humanity, and you're experiencing that eternal being of grace and unconditional love and the power of the creator consciousness. Your next step in your evolution of consciousness, is it going to be an incremental one, or is it going to be a transformational one? Is it going to be a quantum leap? What is it do you want? What would you prefer?
Quite honestly, I trust the process enough to let that fall into place divinely for me.
Okay.
I think because I've been patient with this journey, and I've been intentionally trying to receive messages. What I want is divine clarity. I think I have a lot of questions for God a lot of times, and I just have to be patient and know that like those messages are coming. And
the anatomy of, excuse me for interrupting you, but
okay.
one thing that you might want to pay attention to is that when you ask and you pray, and if that's what you're asking for is something that will make you and the world a better place, you know, won't impinge on anybody else's reality harshly or in an inappropriate way, the answer is instantaneous. It is yes, and it's as quickly as you can conceive it in your mind. Is it already granted? What I've found in myself is that if I ask for something, and I was paying attention as I was asking, and I would feel the granting of it instantaneously, I'd notice that there are all kinds of programs and mechanisms and unconsciousness separations in my body that before I even recognized that the answer had been given and the blessing was there and the transformation was in process, as soon as my body felt that transformational shift, it would shut down unconsciously, automatically, and I'd be waiting for the answer. But the answer was already there, it already came, the gift was already given, and was instantaneously rejected. So, by me. And so, the anatomy of a miraculous transformation isn't one that you wait on God for. It's one that you notice that the only thing between you and that is an unwillingness to receive and to experience that transformational shift, that destruction of the thoughts and the ideas and the beliefs and the cellular memories and the things that impose themselves on your consciousness and say, this contextual reality is the only reality and is the truth, even though you've got a doorway to the spirit world and the divine. This is you here and now. And what I'm doing on my journey is I'm bringing myself into the body from the divine and taking responsibility from that point of view, rather than my identity or personality or ego,
Right.
looking to make an incremental shift in a direction that I don't even know if is right or not.
Yeah, I find myself when I'm sitting, you know, with myself, and you're right, because there's a lot of things that I have asked for, and the only thing that gets in my way is my belief system, and do I believe that it can happen for me? And something that my friend said to me once was, you know, abundance is already there, and the only thing that keeps us from it are the limiting beliefs in our own mind. We create those traffic blocks. And so for me, it's like, what I want isn't something, it's a feeling.
Yes.
And those feelings come with time. And I do feel a lot. And when I am sitting in my body and with my spirit, it does feel that way. I do get into those moments where there's euphoria, and I know that I am transcending, and I'm sitting in a place that isn't in the physical. and it's beautiful.
Yes.
And it is a constant practice.
Okay. So
And
what I'd like to do in this short time that we have together today is I would like to share with you some things that I've found, not intellectually but experientially, you know, for you to experiment with and see if there's something in what I can share with you that will enable you to have an easier path on manifesting life, both as you choose to and both as you surrender to the divine and open to that unknown of how that happens. And so I think it's beneficial. You know, there's the yin and yang of everything, and so that sense of self that we have in our bodies, the one that's here as us, and projecting outward and imagining God and the divine as something outside of us. I like to take a step outside of my body, you know, leave the body sitting here on the table, at the table where I'm at, and take a few steps back, and then take a long way back, you know, go out, put my awareness on the moon and looking back at the earth and knowing that my body's down there somewhere. But in sitting in the midst of outer space, you can open up your perceptions beyond the body perceptions and begin to assimilate and realize your truth from there. And as you experience the nature of yourself that's beyond the body, and you have that shift in reality to where you come back to your truth, and it's just you. It's not something that you're opening to, it's not something that you're seeking for. You just are back whole and complete and present and divinely aware. So in that space, and we can take it a few steps further, you know, because I would suggest, like many others have, that everything in this universe is God. Even the void, but certainly all creation exists because of and has self-awareness as God's perceiving through life through that lens, even the lens of inanimate objects, you know, whether it's a house or a tree, and everything already is or could be and will be divinely self-aware regardless of the construct. So my question for myself is, when do we join? Because each aspect gets to make its own choice. And so when I want to reacquaint myself with my eternal truth and that divine essence, I go outside the body and I wait until I wake up and become present as that which moves beyond time and space. And then I come back to earth, I come back to the room my body's in, and I look at it, maintaining that divine self-awareness. And I look at the body and I look and say, all of this self-awareness in the body is also my self-awareness. It's not some sort of ego that gets destroyed. All the ego is to me are accumulated thoughts and beliefs and impressions and miscommunications, misunderstandings and lies. And so realizing that the body and the mechanisms, none of that was made in divine self-awareness. And so it's all, you know, kind of the dream. It's that lost and fallen reality. So if we can come from our awakened state of divine presence outside the body, and then decide how much now we're going to come into the body how much responsibility we're going to take for maintaining our divine self-awareness as the operating system, the operating consciousness of the body. And when we come in with that and choose to maintain our self-awareness from there, then we're both. We're the identity, personality, ego, and we're our divine, eternal essence and truth as well at the same time. And that marriage of the divine and the profane in your own body, that's what creates the transformational shift. And so the ego, the mind, the personality, the identity, there's only one job, and that is to surrender to the divine. But at the point that you allow the divine to embrace you, to feel you, and you open up to reach out and embrace back wherever it is that the divine exists. And then the more you open, the more you expand, the more you realize that there is no place that you can expand to, that you can't find the divine.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I feel that. I'm no professional yet. I'm no master. And I try to stay very humble in all of the teachings that I'm being given, because it's all coming to the same answer, which is me. And the surrender has been something that I have continuously worked on. And it's amazing because, like I said, when I ask for what I want, I sit and I envision it, and everything that has come into my life has been divinely put there because I attracted it, and I welcomed it, and I believed in it. And I just want that freedom. I want that freedom and that sense of security.
Okay. I have a clear understanding and feel for who you are, and what I would like to do, with your permission, is to sort of officially start our session. We're kind of been orienting each other right, up until now, and so if you're willing, let's explore a few things. As you connect to me, thank you, and as I connect to you, given who and what we are experiencing ourselves at this moment in time, even though we don't know this other person really, we do know that there's a sincerity and a choice that's been made to open and be free, to know what it is to know the divine within themselves. So thanks for having made that choice, because it's for you and people like you that I do what I do. And what I do is simply intend to share an experience of a mutual self-realization of each of ours divine nature, and not just ourselves within the experience of ourselves, and that wholeness, that fullness, the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, that eternal nature of ourselves, but noticing that in the other as well, and sort of eagerly anticipating and opening to feel what it is to be in the presence of someone else who just opened to their own wholeness and their freedom and their authenticity. And so how divine of a connection are we both open to sharing with each other? And that's something I'm asking you to feel, and then say okay to, whatever that is. And then we transit from here to there then.
I am so open.
Yeah, and so that feels lighter. It's freer, and it's rooted in compassion and wisdom and understanding. And so when you look at another person, even though we're not looking at each other, we're sharing presence, we're communicating. When you expect God to communicate to you from the other, it has a powerful effect on the other person. When your mentality is focused on receiving the divine through the communication of another person, that other person will invariably step up. So as you're dealing with your childhood traumas and issues, and you realize that your father was just a man and had his troubles and his limitations, when you interact with him from now on and you connect with his higher self, and you say, that's what I'm open to coming through the other to me. And it'll wash out all of those limitations, all of those fears, all of those traumas, all of those things that make the other person protect themselves in such a way that it's difficult to be with them. So we can heal all of our relationships by our relationship with the divine. And if God is everywhere and everything, then within the structure of your body systems, your cells, your atoms, there's no aspect of who and what you are, even throughout all your subtle bodies, is permeated by God consciousness, by Christ consciousness, by Mother Mary consciousness, by Venus, by Kali, by the divine essence of you. There's no place that you're not.
Right.
So what do we focus our awareness in? If we're going to be effective here as healers, if we're going to play our part in the role of the transformation of this world from what it is to what it could be, what it should be, what it wants to be for itself, if it only knew truly what it actually is. It's time for the goddess to be resident in the temple of you. So when you open up to receive that divine embrace, and you embrace back, and you feel it, and then it begins to permeate you, and it begins to flow into you, and it begins to flow out of you. And as the divine flows into you and permeates you and flows out of you, you remember, you reconnect, and you notice that thing that was divine that you thought wasn't you was you, and now you're flowing as your divine truth. Your own heart, feel the what does divine radiance mean? It means that there's something in you that when you see it and feel it, you've uncovered it already. But if you notice that there's a divine resonance, a radiance within your experience of self, maybe it starts in the center of your heart. It kind of does in mine. And notice that radiance. Notice how it puts order into all of the unconsciousness, all the fears and traumas and cloudiness fades away.
Yeah.
And so that's what we let happen. We let the old contextual truths of the lives and the personalities and the identities that we've carried on, not just of ourselves, but of our ancestors through cellular memory. And not just ourselves, but the rest of the world too, because we're all connected. We're all in a web. And the constraints on consciousness and presence, are crazy. The limitations that the range of what we're able to manifest here and express here has been very narrow until now. And so even though you don't have any, or maybe very many, and maybe not any direct physical ones that you can interact with, of someone who has surrendered to the divine to such an extent that when you feel their presence, when you feel their radiance, when you look into their eyes, you can't see anything but your own truth, your own remembering, your own realization. And that's how this world will change, is from internally making that choice to be reconstructed from divine awareness, divine presence, and have that old, what word did I use before? The profane, the all of the truths and lies of this world and these personalities that we have, and replaced by that which knows eternity, that which knows the universe, that which exists beyond time, that which gave the universe, made the decision for the universe to exist in the first place, that you.
Yeah.
So when, where, how, why did you make that decision for this universe to exist in the first place? And regardless of why you did it, how you did it, it's continued on a long time, according to time, billions of years, 14 billion years maybe.
Yeah.
And yet I believe that the truth of you, the creator consciousness that's beyond time, beyond space, created this universe and whatever else, who knows? God knows. The truth of you knows. So looking back at that little speck in your hand of that universe that you created so long ago, and all of the presence in the universe, all of the consciousness in the universe is you, individuated into every aspect of creation, plant, animal, mineral, everything's conscious, aware. The stars.
Yeah.
But this particular awareness, this particular individuation, when an aspect of God within the creation decides to know the truth that sets it free, what are the requirements for that to happen? There's not very many. You don't need a diploma or permission from anyone else, that's for sure.
Right.
But you do have to go through this little process of noticing that every time that it was ever presented to you as, here it is, it's ready, embody it, we said no. And that everybody says no, and they can't stop saying no, but what you can do is you can look at your nose, you can look at that seemingly eternal, endless series of no's that you said in your embodiments. notice that you've been doing that for a long, 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 long time. And there might be nothing left that can be done in this universe that you haven't already experienced directly. And so why the eternal no to the truth that sets you free? Now that you've experienced everything that man can do and be and have already. The lessons have been learned. If lessons needed to be learned, I'm not convinced that they do.
Yeah, it makes me giggle because every question I've ever had, I already knew the answer, and it was always so simple. And ever since I was a little girl, I've just been this energy that no one could really understand. And it was because I was just capable of loving at such a deeper level. And I was given this gift of, at a very young age, not being able to be molded by the people around me. I was never easily influenced. And whenever I was ready to call on my higher self and my full consciousness and my ability to spread unwavering love, unconditional light, it really started in my servanthood and being around people, because I knew that this energy that tried to be dimmed, this light that people tried to break down, wasn't gonna give up. I've been very resilient in my ability to not be coerced or to be convinced.
If I could, one thing that I would caution, because you have the opposite circumstances of me. I came out of hell, but one thing that I do know is there were a lot of things that I liked and that I revered and that I treasured. And I found that I had to let those go too. Because when you are extraordinary and you've made some very good decisions and have a life that you love, then that's not just a foundation, that's also the ceiling, that's the roof, that's the box that you live in. And since there's infinite potential and possibilities for you, you have to get rid of the good as well as the bad. You have to get rid of what you love about yourself, your accomplishments, and put those on the altar of truth, of the altar of divine transformation as well. Because it's the truths that are false that trap us the most. It's the good things that we love that govern us the most. And so if there were a profound fundamental shift where your experience and expression of yourself was truly as the embodiment of the goddess, without any filters, in complete clarity, what would be left of those things that you used to be proud of your accomplishments as a human? Nothing. Because the truth of you is on a whole nother level. And it's beginning to resonate. I can feel it. And so it's okay to surrender everything. You won't lose anything good. But you don't know where you're being held back in your awareness, in your understanding, in your clarity by the things that you accomplished, that
Right.
that you feel good about.
I'm having deja vu right now.
Mhm. So, yeah, we did some good things, you know. We had some extraordinary successes. But we weren't born here divinely realized. We didn't live our lives radiant and shining the light of God into the eyes of everybody that we looked at. And as a result of that, they believed our story and they acted accordingly. And they fitted their lives to our story in order to match with us. And so it's time to be real now for the rest of the world. It's time to be the truth of you, so that you're no longer sharing an identity, a personality, a mask, a role. You got one of those good roles where you get to be, you know, revered and appreciated and loved and chased after by people who want to be like you or want to be near you. What's going to become of this world when the gods and goddesses begin to choose to awaken within their physical expression here? You know, and it's not something that you can know.
Right.
Until you experience it yourself. Then you'll know. And then you'll be free. And then the world as it has been is on a countdown. Because how many of us awaken to the point where our radiance changes? The consciousness in the room, where a lie can't exist in our presence, where peace and love is all a person can feel when they're with you. They can't feel fearful, they can't feel traumatized, they can't be confused, they can't be lied to, and they can't maintain the lie of their own existence, of their own life that they've lived up until this moment. So the life up until this moment is fucking perfect. There isn't one atom out of place. There isn't one thought out of place that could or should or must be different than what it is right now. So everything that brought you to this moment, to this place and time where the decision is yours. There's nothing holding you back because everything was perfect for the world that it existed in, the contextual truths, the suffering of humanity, the life and death nature of reality here, and the struggle. For that, you were perfect as you are. And so your life's complete. You accomplished that mission and came to be the you that you are today. But now that your mission is complete,
What's next?
You hit the target. What does a divine being do when they wake up instead of at the moment of death or shortly thereafter, in the middle or the beginning or last third of your life like me? What happens to someone like you when
I get to choose what to do now?
So
where to do it and who to do it with, and
so
I get to dance around the world.
Draw upon You know, if you ever feel like you have to do it yourself, if you ever feel like you're having to figure out how to ascend or how to, you know, whenever you get in a confused state, you know, just remember that that's your signal to surrender. That, and that's the signal for you to take a step back, energetically, spiritually, visually, from the body. Move back into the void. Move back into before creation.
Yeah.
And remember the truth of yourself. Then come back to the body and say, this is how I'm coming in and taking the reins of the body now. I'm coming in clear and clean and true and real. And then you let everything in the body go into a harmonic resonance with that, simply by maintaining that consciousness. And every time you lose it, you know, you just rinse and repeat. Until the truth of you is always with you. Always is you.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
It's overwhelming at times. I mean, it's just so beautiful that I could just cry every day because of how happy I feel. And I want to just be. I mean, and show others by me being that they can be too.
Excellent.
Without any expectation.
Well, what else? What else could we explore? Is there anything else that you've got a question in your mind about?
I don't think so. I mean, everything that you said resonates. There's nothing that I could disagree on or question. I feel aligned, and I feel eternally grateful for just the people who have been brought into my life. And I'm just grateful that you spent the time with me.
Well, thanks. Let's dive in together in a manner where we're doing several things simultaneously. As our experience in the body, everything that we feel, everything that moves, everything that's solid, the signal is to surrender that to the divine. And at the same time, you have basically split awareness, because you came from outside the universe as the creator of the universe, back in, fully aware, fully whole, coming back to the body and choosing to bring the clarity of creator consciousness, of the divine way of being, into the body. And so you're both surrendering and gifting, and choosing and merging all at the same time. At the same time that you're noticing the divine in everything around you. All of the inanimate objects, notice how as you open, it's like the air itself gets kind of fuzzy. And then, now notice that the separation that we used to feel between you and I isn't there anymore. Now we're sharing the same space now. And so that's divine communion. And you sit in that and let that transform everything that's that comes up, that sort of bubbles up through the depths of your creation, and release that into presence. And then you get to the point where you don't want to say anything, you don't want to break the spell, you just want to luxuriate in the feeling of being you. And then all of those, little girl and little boy things, oh, they're easy to love and embrace and heal from here.
Yeah.
Well, the monsoon has restarted today. We've been almost a week of continuous rains.
It sounds amazing.
We had the morning free from it, but it's been almost 24 hours a day.
Sounds like a dream to me.
So I've been inside painting.
That's awesome.
So, Haiden, if there's ever a time that you'd like to go for round 2, I'm available, and it would be a pleasure.
Thank you so much, David. I'm really excited to meet you. Maddie and Ariel are working their hardest to get me to come visit, and I definitely feel the pull and the call, so I'm sure I'll be meeting you in person.
Excellent.
In the future.
Well, I look forward to it.
I do too, and I'm so grateful again. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I just hope that you continue on your path of greatness.
This is what makes my life great. This is what makes my life worth living, and this is what I relish doing is to connect, on a level where I can find my peace and my love.
I can feel that.
So, thank you, Haiden. Give them a call and tell them it wasn't all bad, and and hopefully we'll see each other in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, it was so great talking to you. I hope you have a great rest of your evening and enjoy your painting.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.